Good afternoon, and welcome to the sausage roll experiments. Today we're going to work with black pudding. Now, today's experiment is not necessarily does black pudding work with sausage meat. I know it does. My local butcher actually sells pre-made sausages with black pudding in. The experiment I want to do today is whether it should be cooked or raw when you're making black pudding. So, what I've done is I've diced black pudding, very small, tiny little pieces. So this is the raw one, and this is the cooked one. So when it's cooked, it breaks down even further. You can see how dark it is in comparison, hopefully. Now, when you cook black pudding, it does go crispy because of its high fat content. But of course, when you're frying, you lose moisture. So what we need to see is does the effect of the fry come across in the sausage roll, or do you lose too much of the moisture? Is it a waste of time? So I measured out the sausage meat, about half a pack of each, so it's about 200 grams of sausage meat here, and the black pudding is about 110 grams in each bowl. So it's roughly a 2-to-1 ratio, so about a third black pudding. So we're just going to mix these through. Okay, so we'll start with the raw one for what it's worth. All we're looking for is a roughly equal distribution here. Doesn't have to be perfect, but we don't want any loose bits here. Now, I know black pudding, people say, oh, it's a blood sausage, which is technically true, and people are freaked out by that. But it's nothing to be scared of. I feel like there's a lot of foods that people are freaked out by until they get it prepared the right way. People say, oh, I don't like liver, and then they'll have pate, and it's like, oh, I like liver. Or I don't like. I mean, there was a people didn't like bone marrow. They thought, oh, cracking the bones. And now I see all the high-end YouTubers using it in place of butter at times because it's so rich and tasty. People think, oh, people only poor people use bones in their cooking, and then, but if you look at bone broths or pho, it's all in the preparation. Okay, so that's through there enough. While black pudding itself is considered a very British thing, blood pudding, it's you have it in all the other European cultures as well. It's just a way of making your meat and animal produce go further. So it's not just blood in here. I'll be honest, the majority of it's probably oats. And I know there's pork fat in here, so just like lard. It's already spiced, so there's already salt and pepper and likely other bits and pieces in here. I can't say exactly what's gone into this particular one, as it's got a couple of slices from the local butcher, and he's probably not wanting to give away his recipe. So when it comes to seasoning this, which I should have done already, and I forgot, so I got too ahead of myself with planning, I'm not going to add any salt because it's already salty enough, and the blood is effectively a very salty thing in its own right. But I am going to put some pepper in, quite a bit of pepper. But that's it. Now, this isn't a test about seasonings, it's a test about textures and flavour. I'm just going to get that seasoning through there. I'm not worried about cross-contamination here. The amounts that are moving between bowls is going to be tiny, and this shouldn't affect any test. Now, as always, we're going to be using puff pastry, just cheap store-bought puff pastry. I paid £1.25 for this. Now, in theory, I could make my own puff pastry, but I doubt I could do it at that price, and it takes ages. If you want to know how to make puff pastry, there are plenty of pastry chefs on YouTube. That's not what I'm about, though. Okay. So I'm going to make 3 of each type today. 1, 2, 3. So we'll equally distribute the sausage meat between them. That looks about even. Not quite. Okay, so start by rolling into sausage shapes. Doesn't have to be perfect. We'll call it rustic. Or artisan, perhaps. Then we can add, we can double the price. Yeah. So black pudding itself is a fairly common in sausages, but most of the time people will have this with full English breakfast. Just a slice or 2 of it. Okay. Then we will. I'll just wipe my hands slightly. We're going to put a little bit of egg wash in to seal these. You don't have to do this part, but I've found it's been very, very successful when it comes to keeping everything together. While doing these episodes, I've yet to have a sausage roll fall apart when I've done this little trick. I mean, is it a little trick? I don't think I've ever seen anyone else do it, other than the very edge. But it makes sense to me to have seals in several places. These are going to be very full, shall we say. And yes, some of the mixtures going on the outside, it's discolouring it, but I'm not overly worried about that. Okay. So then on to the other one. So the first 3 I did was the raw black pudding. The second group will be the cooked black pudding. Now, when doing these experiments, I've got ideas what I think may happen, but ultimately it's an experiment. You can't fail an experiment like this. You get an answer whether you like it or not. So if it turns out that one of these is terrible, that's no bad thing. That's the whole point of the experiment, to find out what works best. Now, I would hope to discover something great, but that's not how experiments work. There might come a day where I try something unique and it absolutely blows me away. I don't think today is going to be that day, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't want to preempt this. Perhaps this will be the greatest thing ever made. Right, I've misjudged this slightly, so I'm going to move some of the sausage meat into this. And obviously, you can't be afraid to get your hands dirty when you're making these. Okay. I feel like I've not done the distribution particularly well on these ones. But, you know, as I say, rustic, charge double the price. And I'll get these rolled up. Now I've got the oven preheating already. I'm going for 200 degrees, or that's about 400 Fahrenheit. I'm going to aim for about 25 minutes on these. Now, it's up to you to judge whether 25 minutes is appropriate. If you you can check them earlier. There's no harm in that. And if you think they need a bit, if you think they can come out earlier, that's fine. But likewise, you might look at them and think they're a little bit anemic, in which case, give them another few minutes. So we'll get these scored. Let's put 3 scores in. And we'll go the other way so we can see that these are different. We will egg wash, of course. I sometimes forget to do that on camera. But rest assured, I always do put an egg wash on. Now, if you don't do an egg wash, you can still get decent results. But I find it dries out a bit. So this is, I guess, like a little protective screen, a little sunscreen. And it looks better. Okay, so that's that done. I've got a baking tray off to my left here. We will get these in, and we will be back shortly to see what the outcome is and try them while they're hot. Hello, and welcome back for the taste test. So, these were in these were in about 27 minutes. I've allowed them to cool for about 10, so they are still hot. So they've came out okay, although I do think I've overfilled these slightly, but worst things in the world. Okay, so let's get straight into it. These are the ones that were the black pudding was pre-cooked. These are the ones where the black pudding wasn't pre-cooked. So we'll start off with the ones that were pre-cooked. So you can see how dark that is through it. We'll just have a little go. Still hot. Perhaps a little too hot, if I'm honest. No, that's very good. You can definitely taste the black pudding. Definitely comes through. It's not overly dry. Just exploring the texture. Okay. So obviously we need to compare this, and this is the one where we didn't pre-cook. So it'll look exactly the same in theory. Okay, see what the difference is. Okay, you can actually tell the difference texture-wise. Getting a more black pudding texture, which is naturally quite dry. Have a second bit. Okay. I think it's one of these where you need to try both pretty much within a few seconds of each other. And honestly, there's not a great deal of difference when they're hot. You can the texture is affected more when it is the uncooked black pudding. So when hot, I think if I didn't know there was a difference, I probably wouldn't. I wouldn't recognise it. However, we do have to still try these cold, which is how the majority of people will probably eat these. So we'll be back once these have cooled to see where we stand. Hello and welcome back. So now we're going to try the cold sausage rolls. So again, we'll start with the ones that were pre-cooked. That is the black pudding was pre-cooked. Both together really well. Odd thing,